Welcome to the deep dive. If you're a strategist, maybe an entrepreneur, or just someone really focused on performance dynamics in apps, especially things involving risk, like, say, football tipping, you already know success isn't just the idea, right?
Not at all. It's really about blending that sharp technical strategy with some serious mental discipline.
Exactly. And we know you're always looking for those, high leverage points for consistent performance.
Right. So today, we've gone through all the source material you sent over,
Mhm.
and we've kind of boiled it down into three main pillars. Our mission, really, is to pull out the most actionable stuff on managing risk with math, grabbing and holding attention in this super crowded digital world.
Yeah, it's noisy out there.
It really is. And finally, looking at how rethinking what success even means changes your whole strategic game plan.
And we've definitely got some counterintuitive things coming up, stuff that might challenge what you think you know. For sure, like why smart people often let emotions mess up good math. And this is interesting, how simplifying things, like radically simplifying this idea of digital minimalism, can actually boost user engagement. You'd think it'd be the opposite.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's get started then. Maybe first with that foundation, the psychology and math of risk and reward.
Sounds good. Because for any prediction, any business move really, success seems to hinge on navigating this conflict between like our gut feelings, the mindset, and the actual numbers, the math.
That's the core tension. And what stood out to you first from the sources on that?
Well, it's this pattern, you see it again and again, of smart people failing.
Yeah.
Why do folks who are perfectly rational most of the time make decisions that are, frankly, mathematically bad the second actual money? Or maybe their reputation, their ego is involved.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Seems like our brains process realized gains and theoretical risks very differently. Once there's real skin in the game,
Right.
people switch. They stop being calculators and become, well, emotional investors. They start chasing losses, throwing good money after bad on a strategy that's clearly failed because deep down, they just hate admitting they got it wrong.
Ah, so it's ego protection, dressed up like strategy.
Pretty much, yeah.
That sounds exactly like the sunk cost fallacy, just, amplify. I mean, you see it in product development all the time, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
A team pours a year into some feature, the data shows it's a dud, but nobody wants to kill it because, hey, look how much work we already put in.
It's like the entrepreneur's kryptonite. The sources really hammer this point. The skill to pivot, to cut your losses without mercy, might be the single most vital skill for staying in the game long term.
Ruthlessly, huh?
Yeah, ruthlessly. High performance means seeing your resources, time, money, as fuel for future options, not chains tying you to past mistakes. If a strategy isn't working, stopping the bleeding is way more profitable than trying to justify why you started it in the first place.
Okay, so to fight that emotional pull, you need something solid, a mathematical anchor.
Exactly.
And that anchor, especially where risk is involved, is this concept of expected value, or EV.
Precisely. And we should probably clarify what EV really is. Just calling it long-term profitability isn't quite sharp enough,
Okay.
Expected value is the average result you'd expect if you could repeat a decision like an infinite number of times. The calculation is pretty straightforward. Probability of an outcome times the value or payoff of that outcome.
Right. So let's make it concrete. If you were running, say, that football tipping service, how would you use EV day to day?
Okay, good example. Let's say your model shows Team A, the favorite, has maybe a 60% chance to win. But the betting market, the odds, imply they have a 70% chance.
So the market thinks they're more likely to win than your model does.
Exactly. The market is basically underpricing the risk. So mathematically, the value isn't in betting on the favorite, it's betting against them, even though it feels counterintuitive, maybe riskier. That bet against the favorite has positive EV.
Because the potential reward outweighs the actual calculated risk based on your model.
Correct. The math says, over time, making that bet consistently, even if you lose the first few, will make you money because the market's odds are off. That's the difference between like disciplined investing and just gambling on a hunch.
Makes sense. But that leads right into the next big challenge here, doesn't it? Coping with variance.
Ah, yes. Variance.
The killer.
Because even if your EV is positive, your model is sound, you're going to hit losing streaks. Just random bad luck, market swings. That variance can make a perfectly good strategy look terrible in the short run.
Yeah, and this is purely a mental game. The sources suggest a two-pronged approach here. First, Stick rigidly to your documented data.
Don't panic.
Exactly. When you're losing, every instinct screams, change something, anything.
Mm.
You have to train yourself, really train yourself, to trust the long-term EV data, not the last 3 results.
Okay, trust the numbers. What's the second part? Pre-plan your emotional reaction. Seriously. High performers actually budget for variance. They accept losses as part of the process, which kind of defangs them psychologically when they inevitably happen.
So you need the math smarts to build the strategy,
Right.
but the mental toughness to actually execute it even when everything feels like it's going wrong.
That's the combo. Math and Mettle.
Okay, talking about staying disciplined through tough stretches, let's shift gears. We need that same kind of strategic focus when it comes to getting and keeping user attention.
Yeah.
Let's pivot to the attention economy. Because let's face it, for anyone with an app or a service, attention is the currency now.
It absolutely is. And the first big lesson here, particularly for app developers, is about designing for micro habits.
Micro habits, explain that.
The idea is you're not trying to maximize how long someone stares at their screen anymore. That's old thinking. Now it's about maximizing seamless utility, making your service fit perfectly, almost invisibly into the user's existing daily rhythm.
Seamless utility.
Hmm.
So for like a prediction app, what does that look like? Just sending a notification at the right time.
It's more subtle than just timing. It's about delivering relevant value without being annoying, you know.
Okay.
So if your user gets a key insight, maybe a recommended action, at 10 a.m. before their meetings kick off, that's useful. But if they get some generic push notification at 7 p.m. while they're having dinner, that's just noise, an intrusion.
Right.
A micro habit means the app gives them something valuable, maybe takes 10 seconds to digest, adds immediate value, and boom, it cements its place in their daily routine. Small, useful, regular touch points.
Okay, that makes sense. And this connects to that other counterintuitive idea you mentioned. Digital minimalism for business. We're always told more is more. Add features, options, buttons.
Yeah, the feature creep trap.
But the sources are saying simplifying, stripping things down can actually increase engagement. How does that work?
It's all about reducing friction. Complexity creates decision paralysis, especially when the user is trying to do something important, maybe something high stakes.
Like placing a bet or making a trade based on the app's info.
Exactly. For a service like that, digital minimalism means the user sees the risk, the reward, the next step, and almost nothing else. Get rid of the clutter. Hide the extra settings. Streamline everything.
So less cognitive load means they're more likely to actually do the main thing you want them to do.
Precisely. You improve your conversion funnel by subtracting, not adding. It's about focus.
Focused design, focused action. Got it. But we don't just want individuals taking action, right? We want that network effect. We need to move from just having an audience to building a tribe.
Yeah, building a tribe that's about creating shared experience.
Yeah.
Think about how people naturally talk about sports or trading ideas.
They argue, they share tips, they complain about bad beats.
Right, they build community around it. A high-performance platform should actually facilitate that kind of interaction, not just broadcast information one way. The value shifts from just a tool to a network, a community. That's social connection. Huge for keeping users around.
Makes sense. And finally, within this whole attention game, we have to look at ourselves, how we work. The sources make a really key distinction between deep work and, well, hustle culture.
Oh, this is crucial for any founder or leader. Are you actually spending your time on things that build long-term value? Or just being busy?
The hustle trap.
Exactly. Hustle culture often glorifies activity. Instant email replies, constant networking, back-to-back meetings. Deep work is different. It's about carving out serious, focused, uninterrupted time for the stuff that truly moves the needle long-term.
Like refining your core algorithm or designing that minimalist user flow we just talked about.
Yes. Things that create durable competitive advantage, not just answering emails faster.
So if we think about the 80-20 rule, if 80% of your day is just reacting, putting out fires, and only 20% is building the core intellectual property,
Yeah.
you're probably hustling, not doing deep work.
That's a great way to frame it. You want to try and flip those ratios as much as possible.
Okay. Let's take that idea of long-term value and transition to our final pillar. Unique personal finance and success topics. This feels like moving beyond just saving money or basic budgeting.
It is. We're looking at broader financial strategies, really defining what success means for a high performer. It leads us to what some sources call lifestyle-driven financial planning.
Lifestyle-driven, meaning
Meaning you define success on your own terms, not just by comparing bank balances. For an entrepreneur, maybe success isn't hitting some arbitrary net worth number. Maybe it's having the financial freedom to step away from day-to-day operations for 6 months to just think and work on strategy.
Or the ability to fund experimental projects without worrying it'll bankrupt you if they fail.
Exactly. It's structuring your finances specifically to support your unique vision of a successful life, which often prioritizes things like time, flexibility, and impact over just maximizing the dollar amount.
So wealth becomes a tool for enabling a certain kind of life, not just an end goal in itself.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this ties back, interestingly, to the mindset stuff we discussed with risk. There's a concept floating around in some self-help or motivation circles that actually has strategic weight: the skill of receiving abundance.
Okay, that sounds a little out there. How does receiving abundance become a business strategy?
Well, think about it strategically. It's about consciously shifting your core money mindset. Are you operating from a place of fear and scarcity, always worried about lack?
Which would make you defensive, risk averse?
Right. Afraid to hire good people, hesitant to invest in needed growth? Or are you operating from a mindset of abundance, believing that opportunities and resources are available?
And if you believe that,
You're more likely to take smart, calculated, positive EV risks. You're more willing to invest in top talent, to scale aggressively, because you fundamentally trust that the opportunities will support it. It changes your risk tolerance and your investment horizon.
interesting. It changes your perception of what's possible, but we need to keep this grounded, right? Because the sources also touch on some pretty high-risk approaches out there, these controversial wealth strategies.
Yes, definitely need to mention those. Things like the really extreme versions of the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early.
Where people save like 70% of their income to quit work super young?
Right. Or using aggressive leverage, borrowing heavily to invest. These strategies get a lot of hype online.
Which feels dangerous.
It can be extremely dangerous. It's absolutely critical for anyone listening to separate the exciting idea or the online hype from the cold, hard mathematical risk involved.
Because the downsides can be catastrophic.
Exactly. Tail risk. If
Oh.
you're going to explore aggressive leverage or extreme saving investing strategies, you need way more rigor, way more stress testing than standard approaches. Otherwise, you're just gambling with potentially life-altering consequences. Discipline matters even more at the extremes.
Okay, so pulling this all together, what's the big picture for the strategist listening? We've hit on the need for mathematical rigor and risk, the power of simplicity and attention, and how mindset shapes your financial strategy and definition of success.
The synthesis is really where the power lies. You absolutely need that technical foundation, the EV math, the minimalist design principles. But crucially, you have to pair it with the psychological armor,
Meaning?
meaning building that mental strength to ride out variance, having the humility to ditch failing ideas quickly, and consciously cultivating that abundance mindset to see and seize bigger opportunity. It's tech skills plus mental skills.
So it's that blend of like cold logic and almost emotional intelligence that really gives you the edge.
That's the highest leverage point, I think.
Which brings us perfectly to our final thought for you, the listener, to kind of chew on. We've talked about two seemingly opposite things today. The cold, hard math of expected value, which demands you ignore your feelings, and this more subjective idea, the skill of receiving abundance, which requires a very intentional, positive mental shift. So the question for you is, in your own pursuit of high-performance strategies right now, today, which one offers you the greatest leverage for your next big decision? Is it doubling down on the pure mathematical rigor, or is it making that intentional shift in your mental framework? Something to think about until our next deep dive.